Alrighty, people. A lot has happened in the NFL in just the span of the last 10 hours, really. It's felt like it's been the same exact thing for 3 weeks in a row now. You make content, and then news comes out an hour after you release it that impacts fantasy football, and that feels like it's been happening pretty much every week for the last 3 weeks. But I do love all the trade activity. I do love that we're getting closer and closer to the NBA trade deadline, that kind of vibe where, these contenders go all in, which is awesome to see. I appreciate y'all for being here with us. We do have some news to talk about. Definitely some updates that will impact fantasy football. Obviously, Diontae Johnson being traded, the news of Anthony Richardson being benched. So there's a lot to talk about. Do us a favor. Go ahead and hit that like button and show some love as the stream begins. And we are going to go through and talk about some of this news. But just so you guys know, if you want your question answered and prioritized, check out the link in the pinned comment in the chat there. That link is going to get your question prioritized in the system, okay? But why don't we go ahead and get to it, right? So, Diontae Johnson was traded to the Baltimore Ravens. The deal was something... Honestly, the deal was, like, quite frankly, I know Diontae has no long-term contract after this year, but the deal was a joke for the Panthers. That's the best they could get, was a 5th and 6th round pick swap. I don't know, like, that felt...
needs to be gone. He needs to be, thank you for your services, because you keep giving our key players for absolute pennies.
It's like the person in your fantasy league who is 0-8 right now in fantasy, and they go ahead and they trade away, DJ Moore for Zamir White, Jerome Ford, and Xavier Worthy or something, like that's basically what just happened.
Right.
But anyway, it's happening. I will say this. Here's how I break this down. For the Ravens, this is really not good for any player not named Lamar Jackson. I guess it's pretty good for Derrick Henry as well, because they're going to move the ball even more down the field, more scoring opportunities. But this only helps Lamar Jackson. This is terrible for Zay Flowers, another guy who earns targets in your offense in a low passing volume offense. This is terrible for Diontae Johnson. Of all the places that he could go, I feel like I'm Dr. Seuss. Of all the places he could go, though, this is not a place you wanted him to go for fantasy football. Rashad Bateman's in the ground, which is sad because he was having a really good year. And this is not good for Diontae Johnson. I mean, if I look at my rest of season rankings, I'll pull that up. I had to move Diontae Johnson down a little bit. He was already in a situation which was difficult to navigate, but this just kind of puts a worse spin on that. He's now my wide receiver 37 rest of season. Before that, I think he was more like wide receiver 30, in the range of like 30 to 34. Now my wide receiver 37. I am not excited about this whatsoever. Then with Zay Flowers, he was my wide receiver 24, I believe. I had to move him down to 28. Again, low volume passing offense. Another guy who's going to earn targets, makes things more crowded. And I just prefer some of these other names ahead of him. Lad McConkey breaking out, George Pickens with Russell Wilson, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Olaves of the world. So this is, in my opinion, if he was to be traded, I'm not going to sit here and say this is worst case scenario, but it's pretty damn close. In my opinion, it's pretty damn close to worst case scenario.
Yeah. Look, obviously you guys know me. I like to be a little bit optimistic. I'm not saying this is a better situation. I think the quarterback play is better. I think the scoring opportunities is better. It's going to be less targets, more value, essentially, right? So he was getting 12, 13 targets from obviously Andy Dalton and Bryce Young, but now he's probably going to get 5 or 6 and maybe a touchdown. That's kind of what you hope for. So that's my optimism here. And look, we all love Rashad Bateman. He can't stay healthy. What was Rashad Bateman good at? Separating. He can't stay on the field. But what is Diontae good at as well? Separating. Once again, it's not going to be extreme targets. It might be just, okay, 5-6 value targets are exactly what you need for this player. Once again, just giving you the other side of the coin. But I kind of agree with Zach. This is not the best opportunity for Diontae Johnson for your fantasy team. He's going to be a tough player to start on a week-to-week basis. Um,
So the Panthers were top 11 in passing attempts per game. They were 11th actually in passing attempts per game. So while their offense was bad, they were funneling pretty much every target through Diontae Johnson. That's really where his value came from. And now you have a situation where you're going from an offense that, again, you were the main target to an offense that is bottom 9 in passing attempts per game. And here's the difficult part with Diontae. With Zay Flowers, you can kind of just chuck it up there and he'll kind of track it down. Like, I'm not going to say Tyreek Hill, but, he has that skill set where it doesn't have to be completely accurate. You can kind of throw it down the field. He'll figure out how to get there. Diontae Johnson is not a game breaker. He's a chain mover. And that's ultimately just really concerning for me. I don't think he's even there. Like, without being disrespectful, he goes from being the best red zone target to the 4th best red zone target on the Ravens. Like, he's not a better red zone target than Mark Andrews. You don't prefer targeting him over giving the ball to Derrick Henry. Zay Flowers is a better red zone target. So ultimately, I hate this. I'll be honest. I'm not gonna. I love that you're giving people optimism because I'm not going to. I hate it. I think it's disgusting. It's honestly terrible. I mean, he has to get volume, and if he gets 6 targets on the Ravens, and those 6 targets he catches 4 of them, and they're for 6 yards each, 10 yards each, the guy's not a game breaker. He's not like Zay Flowers. He can't turn a screenplay into a house call. He can't turn I don't know. I don't like it at all. Hate it. I
think what he can do is make those targets that he throws to Rashad Bateman down the field. He can actually catch it.
He's had drop issues his entire career, though. I'm not sure this is all that different from Rashad Bateman. Honestly, great point. Like, now that I think about it, this is pretty like what Rashad Bateman's been doing. I think that is now what Diontae Johnson's fantasy season looks like, and that's not bad. It's just inconsistent. 7 points, 7 points, 11, 11, 15, 22, 3. I honestly think this is a good representation of what to expect from Diontae rest of season. Is that harsh? I don't think it is. I think that's realistic, in my opinion.
Once again, not crazy amount of targets, but these are going to be valuable targets for Diontae Johnson. Like, once again, not the crazy amount of 12, 13 targets, but if he gets 5, 6 targets and a touchdown, that's what you're hoping for Diontae Johnson. So lower your expectations on the targets. Hope he finds the end zone. And if he starts to now average 11 to 13 fantasy points, you're happy with that as a flex option. At least right now.
I would definitely trade him away if you can before he.
Oh my gosh. I'm pretty sure you definitely should. But I don't know what you can get. I don't think people like that. But anyway,
a couple names that we should talk about. Jalen Coker is going to be one of my favorite stashes this week. I'm not doing a stash video because I have already prepared to do a video where I tell you guys the best players to trade for if you want to win your championships in your fantasy leagues. I don't know. Let me ask the chat. Would you guys rather have a stash video this week or a bust video this week? I'm not sure I can give you both, actually. Anyway. Jalen Coker's going to move up for sure. The issue is we don't know if it's Bryce Young rest of season, but he kind of goes into that like young player, who has a chance to break out type of, situation. Kind of right there around 62. Keon definitely needs to move up after his recent performances. We'll put Keon more around like the, I'd say like the 40 range, 41. But Coker definitely becomes more interesting. Adam Thielen, I'll be honest, I'm not that interested anymore because of the Coker breakout. I could be wrong, but I feel like they're going to want to build around the young Jalen Coker. Leggett, I'm not going to move him anywhere because if it's not Andy Dalton starting, which we don't know the answer to that yet, he's still going to get inconsistent targets from Bryce Young. So is there anything else you want to say about that trade? Overall, in a conclusion, gross, disgusting. Except for Lamar Jackson. That's literally the only way I feel. And Jalen Coker is now really fun to think about in Dynasty. Yeah,
Coker's nice. I think even more of a reason to go out and get Xavier Leggett in Dynasty as well, even if... I mean, I was a big Xavier Leggett guy. I'm liking the way he get utilized. He's definitely getting utilized in the end zone as well. So that's probably the only thing I would say here. But I love Jalen as well with the opportunities that are coming his way.
Yeah. All right. The other bit of news that we have to talk about is the benching of Anthony Richardson. Now, if you guys have been with this channel for a while, you'll know that we weren't really big Anthony Richardson guys. We liked him as a player. Yeah. We thought he had a lot of upside in fantasy, but we hated him for this offense, specifically for the wide receiver core. And we have been basically telling you guys all year that if Joe Flacco plays, there's league winners in the wide receiver room. If it's Anthony Richardson, then you probably can't even start some of these names. Funnily enough, I recorded a Dynasty video, and I was talking about trading for Josh Downs. I was talking about how they're probably going to bench A-Rich, and then again, a couple hours later, they bench A-Rich, which is awesome. Thanks, guys. Couldn't have done that a day earlier. But this is great. Like, hey, I'll be honest with you. I know everyone loves the 10 players about to go nuclear video. I don't want to spoil it, but Josh Downs is going to be on that video. Josh Downs is automatically one of my favorite starts in fantasy this whole week. Like, if you have Josh Downs, I feel like he has to be in your starting lineup. If I look at my weekly rankings here, then thinking about him playing Minnesota, which is the best matchup for fantasy football, a team that's going to be able to score points against them, Josh Downs is my wide receiver 21. I'd play Josh Downs over Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Ladd McConkey, Tillman, Dell, Reed, Mooney, Myers, Sutton, Keenan. Josh Downs is one of my favorite plays this entire week. This is absolutely incredible for fantasy purposes. Pittman's my wide receiver 25. Again, these guys have the best matchup in fantasy football this week. These guys are both absolutely in play, and I'm excited about it, man. I think, and sorry, just one more thing. I'll hand it over to you, but if you own Jonathan Taylor, oh boy, this is great if you own Jonathan Taylor. All right, obviously it benefits the wide receivers the most, but there is no scenario in the red zone which Joe Flacco is going to rush the ball in for a touchdown, right? There's no vulturing a touchdown for Jonathan Taylor. The offense is going to be more efficient. They're going to move the ball down the field more now without A-Rich, and they'll have more red zone opportunities. This is so good for Jonathan Taylor. This is the best move in fantasy so far this year as far as a player being dead and coming back to life for Josh Downs and Michael Pittman.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, if you look at Michael Pittman weeks 4 and 5, 17 points, caught 6 out of 9 targets for 113 yards. Week 5 against Jacksonville, both of the games where Anthony Richardson is not playing, keep in mind, caught 5 out of 8 and a touchdown for over 14 fantasy points. I mean, you can see the flip. Obviously, Josh Downs seems like the safer floor, playing that slot option, getting those targets in the slot on the dump offs when it comes down to Anthony Richardson and or Joe Flacco. But I mean, the ceiling is higher for everyone on this team now, and this is perfect if you do have Colts players, because you're probably 4 and 4, or you probably just lost and you're 3 and 4 or whatever, 3 and 5. You are buzzing that now Josh Downs and Michael Pittman could actually turn your team around because of the upside that they have. So I agree. This is way, Josh tremendous.
Downs, with Joe Flacco starting, is averaging over 19 points per game. Now, that's a bit unrealistic to expect every week, but we could be talking about a top 12 finish for Josh Downs rest of season. If Joe Flacco starts every game, that's a realistic outcome. And I just traded for him in a rebuilding dynasty team, so I am loving it. And we talked about this in the start sit video. I always try to give you guys as much context as I possibly can because there's so many moving pieces each and every week. But yeah, man, I'm so excited to play Downs and Pittman now. Now, you obviously have this scenario where if the Colts lose games, they'll probably start to look at A-Rich again.
Yeah.
But for now, it's awesome and revel in its glory. All right, we appreciate. Sorry, go ahead. No, my bad.
No, I would just say this, like, and then we can move to the next thing. Just keep in mind, like, I don't know if I would be going out and making a move to go out and trading for Josh Downs and Michael Pittman unless I get a really good deal, because I do agree with what Zach just said. I think they could then pivot back. They're 4 and 4. This division is essentially, I think, for the taking, if I'm not mistaken, outside of the Texans. But
I
for
think I'm
me,
willing
it's like
I think I'm willing to go get Downs. I think broke
it
money
just
don't make none
depends.
type vibes
I
for
think
me.
it depends on the options
Yeah.
on what you're getting. But like if you're gonna send a key valuable player for Josh Downs, thinking and hoping that Joe Flacco is gonna be the
Well,
guy
let's
for the
go
rest
through
of
it.
the season.
I showed you my rest of season rankings, and let's talk through it then because at Josh Downs I have rest of season wide receiver 30. Would you rather have him or Amari Cooper?
Amari Cooper.
I'd rather have Josh Downs. Josh Downs or DeAndre Hopkins?
Um, I just haven't seen it yet with DeAndre, so I have to go with Josh Downs.
How about Josh Downs or Mooney?
Darnell Mooney.
I'll still go Downs. Downs or JSN?
I'll go Josh Downs there.
I mean, if you can send Diontae for Downs, do it. To me, I'm starting to ask the question, like, Downs is in this tier for me. Pickens, McConkey, Flowers, Dell. That's where I'm struggling at the moment. I mean, I'm not so sure he doesn't outscore Devonta Smith rest of season, to be honest with you. So maybe I'm a little bit too bullish. But yeah, anyway, let's start answering some questions here. If you guys want your question answered and prioritized on stream, check out our website, flockfantasy.com/land. Or you can actually check out the link in the chat for you, which is available. When you click that link, it'll take you to a page that looks like this. You can get a team review, a trade question, a start sit, or you can donate a super message with the question. If you don't have a free account on Flock Fantasy yet, I can't express how good it is for you. I mean, it costs you nothing to get, by the way. flockfantasy.com/land. Sign up for a free account with the promo code LAND. You're going to get the My Team feature that you're looking at here for free. If you're in a Sleeper, ESPN, or Yahoo League, you'll be able to link up your team there. And then when you link up your team, it becomes so easy to ask a question. For example, if you have a start sit question, if you already have your league linked up, for example, the Flock League, it'll automatically import your settings. And then once you look at your lineup, all you have to do is select your quarterback. It'll automatically link the rest of your team, but you do need to tell us who you're considering playing. So for example, if you know I'm playing Derrick Henry, okay, tell us that. But if you know that you're considering names like Mixon and Taylor and Spears, right? Tell us who you're considering. Go through each position, tell us who you're considering. Terry, Olave, Tyreek, right? And then as you go through, it'll kind of let us know the names that you're considering. You submit that through, and then we get to see all that on our end, which is absolutely incredible. We appreciate y'all for being here. Again, if you want to get your question prioritized, check out the pinned comment in the chat. Great way to do it. And last thing I'll say is YouTube takes 30% of your super chat away from us, by the way. So it definitely benefits us as creators for you to go through the site as well, full transparency. But let's start off with, we have a team review, but let's not start off with that. Let's start off with P-Pav, who says, hello, debating Reed versus Dell. Not sure what to do. This is assuming Higgins plays. Thank you so much. So shout out to P-Pav. It's a 10-team start 7. Walk us through it.
Yeah, obviously you started Jalen Hurts, James Conner, Derrick Henry, CeeDee Lamb there, and you said you are debating between Reed and Tank Dell. Look, you're most likely going to have to start Nathaniel or Tank Dell here. Nathaniel Dell. That's so weird that I said his full name just
like
then. I don't know why.
It's like you were his mom and he got in trouble. Nathaniel?
Yeah, Nathaniel.
Nathaniel Alex Dell, get down here.
Just purely based off of we just don't know if Jordan Love's going to play. And if you get a report somehow before Thursday night that he is going to play, sure, because Tank Dell is playing Thursday night versus the Jets. So you most likely have to play Tank Dell. And honestly, more of a reason to start him. No Stephon Diggs. They don't have Nico Collins coming back this week. So I would expect Tank Dell to be the number one guy. But even more of a reason for them to shut him down against Sauce Gardner, against all these other DBs here in the secondary against the Jets. But you're going to have to play that.
I think that's actually what concerns me. So I feel like Reed is just easier to get manufactured touches for. And
especially in a game like this. But yes, I do understand what you're saying.
Yeah, in a game where high over under for the division, I think I still lean Jaden Reed over Tank Dell, even though there's no Stephon Diggs. If it was a better game, if you swap the matchups and the Packers were playing the Jets and we had the Texans playing the Lions, I'd probably change my answer. But I think Jaden Reed's just easier to get manufactured touches in. So that would be my answer. And then if Higgins doesn't play, You put honestly, I'd play Bucky still. I'd probably play Bucky still over Tank. I don't hate Tank. I like Tank this week. He's a fine option, but I just think there are some better options out there on most people's rosters. You are muted. I was like, this guy's thinking real hard and long about this.
So sorry. I don't know why. I think I muted myself because there was some noise happening. I was gonna say you start Tank Dell in that wide receiver 2 option, and if Jordan Love plays, you start Jaden Reed. And if you wanted to start, then you have T Higgins if he does play. But if he doesn't play, then I would agree. I would go Bucky. I think you have a lot of options here that can pan the right way for you.
All right, we've got a trade question here from Trev Dorand. Says, wide receiver depth is improving with Puka and Nico. He may want Bucky to get it over the line. I think, is it still worth it for me? Thoughts? So, one side gets London and Walker, and we've said this pretty consistently that we feel like this is a pretty even trade for both sides. We've actually gotten this trade a lot this week, which is interesting. I wonder what's in the water, but this feels pretty even. Oh, this is Dynasty. Then I definitely want London. My bad.
Yeah, I want London as well. Obviously, you can see the picks here. I would rather have Drake London over Kenneth Walker.
Good catch. Yeah. You know, that's an 8-team league. No, I still think Drake London is more valuable. Honestly, I think he needs to do like a pick swap with you to do this deal. Like because it's a small league, I get why you'd want the running back upgrade there.
Yeah.
So you need to do like a second and a third pick swap in your favor to make this make sense in a dynasty league, in my opinion. I mean, if you redid your draft, Drake London's going ahead of Ken Walker. Ken Walker's been great, but the reality is in dynasty, we build around wide receivers, not running backs.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah.
I agree.
Right. Happy emo here. Unfortunately, 2-6, 10 team. Is it over, guys? It's never over until you're mathematically eliminated. You know, I guess, but Hucky, it's time for me to get on my soapbox. It's each and every year I tell you guys this story. But huddle around, kids.
Let me tell you a
great
story once upon a time.
Story time. So here's the deal. This was 3 years ago, I believe, in Badaki and I's home league. We have 2 home leagues. One's 1 quarterback, 1 super flex. This was the 1 quarterback format. I started off the year 1-7. Now, most people in fantasy who start off 1-7 probably stop watching the games. They probably stop setting their lineups or looking at waiver wire. That's not what we did. We did the complete opposite. We made some trades. We hit the waiver wire up, and we won 6 in a row to make the playoffs as the 6th seed at 7-7. And then we ran the damn table in the playoffs, going from 1-7, all right, to the championship winning team in our home league. So I call out to you now and say, if you are 1-7, you are already in a position where I was, and there's no reason to give up. The only time you actually give up is when you're mathematically eliminated. And even when you're mathematically eliminated, you should play for pride. But again, until you are eliminated, until they put your ass in the ground, you are fighting, you are clawing for that fantasy championship, okay? So yeah, definitely not time to give up. You've got plenty of time to recover this. And quite frankly, if you look at your record, you're 2-6. I mean, you already were a full game better than me. I was 1-7 that year. You're 2-6. So you could still lose another week and still have a chance. Look, let's have a look at the team. 10-team start 7. Quarterback is Kyler Murray. You're definitely going to put Breece Hall out there. You're definitely going to put is it Ken Walker or Jonathan Taylor this week, now that I'm thinking about it? I mean, does he have a flex? Let's just start all these running backs, all right? All the running backs are starting for us. And then at wide receiver, Neighbors is definitely in play. I don't know if Brian Thomas is going to play or not. I'm going to start Garrett Wilson. And then at tight end, I think you go Brock Bowers. So you're starting all your running backs in Breece, JT, and Ken Walker. At wide receiver, you're starting Neighbors and Garrett Wilson. And at tight end, you're starting Brock Bowers. And honestly, what you could do, because you have an insane amount of depth here in a start 7 league, is you could probably package a Brian Thomas and a Kyler Murray and go get a Lamar Jackson plus a Tank Dell, for example. Like, do a 2-for-2 deal where you use Brian Thomas and Kyler Murray. Or if it's not Brian Thomas, you can use Marvin, I guess, but I'd rather keep him.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I agree with you.
Jackson.
So yeah, that's perfect. That's a perfect. We appreciate your email. Thank you so much for the super chat or for the chat. I think the next one is Nico. Appreciate you. This is a one quarterback, 8 team start, 9 PPR. He's starting Josh Allen, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon, CD, Jamar Chase, and he is looking at the tight end position. And you're going to continue to start Brock Bowers. Kyle Pitts is a great option for sure. But looking at the flex, Jordan Mason on a bye. I'm not starting Nick Chubb or Jerome Ford. You have Cedric Tillman, Jalen Waddle. So I'm going to start Marlon Harrison Jr. here. You're starting Drake London. And I think the next guy I would start actually would be Kyle Pitts or Jalen Waddle. Let me just double check on Jalen Waddle's matchup.
I'd start those wide receivers.
Jalen Waddle versus the Bills should be a high scoring game there, so he should definitely be utilized. So I would agree with that. Jalen Waddle in that flex.
It's tough in an 8-team league because everybody's teams are completely stacked, but this is a pretty good roster. And you really want that like infused upside in your roster on a week-to-week basis like Waddle can offer you. I know he was disappointing last week, but yeah, I'm still a fan of his long-term. So yeah, that's a great team that you're fielding there. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of jealous. But of course that is an 8-team league, right? All right, we still have a couple questions on the website. By the way, guys, if you want to prioritize your question, check out the website. There's a link in the chat. I'll put it in there again for you if you need to see it. But let's see. This is a trade question from Wizzy. He says, I'm tempted to do this, but I'm afraid of Reed's floor.
No,
I would
do this.
Oh, this is Dynasty. Yeah, I'm still taking Jaden Reed. Yeah.
I'm taking. I don't care about his floor. He's playing with Jordan Love.
Well,
I love Zay Flowers.
I love Zay Flowers too. I just think Jaden Reed is going to be more consistent. I know that hasn't been the case as of recent, but with a healthy Jordan Love, I think Jaden Reed's going to be a little bit more consistent. I think if you swapped their teams, it would be easy to say Zay Flowers and you swap their roles. But now you're adding in Diontae Johnson, and we already had this boom bust. And by the way, Zay's been very good, but there's still boom bust potential there with each and every matchup. If they're up, they're probably not going to use Zay Flowers. If they're down, they're definitely going to use him. And that's probably not going to change for the foreseeable future. So I'm going to go ahead and say Jaden Reed here.
Yeah, I agree. I'll agree with Jaden Reed. By the way, Adam Cook is chef, right? We should definitely make him a...
Yes.
All right. I just wanted to double check before I made that move. I'm going to make you a moderator.
Yes, while he does that, which is awesome. By the way, let me know. I haven't even looked at Discord. Let me know if you got those new clips for that Dynasty vid. My mind's been all over the place today. It's been crazy. All right, Demeets, what's up, man? Says super chat says added a question in super chat, ran out of characters. Added a question in super chat, ran out of characters. Okay, so it's over here. He says getting AJ Brown in a trade and have Barkley for wide receiver 1 and RB1. Who would you trade one to not rely on one team for the number 1 spot? If so, trade who? I mean, I wouldn't like force a trade of Saquon or AJ Brown. I have no issues with starting both of those guys on a week-to-week basis. And actually, if you look at playoff schedule, I think you're really going to want to keep both of those names.
That's right, baby.
I've actually been working on a trade video, which comes out tomorrow for you guys. I'm really excited about this trade video. I put a lot of effort into it. And it's basically, the idea is built around trading for players that give you the best chance to actually win in the playoffs. And let me tell you something. The Eagles' schedule in the playoffs is hot. I love it. It's Pittsburgh in week 15, which isn't the best, but then Washington, Dallas, 2 divisional games. And I just think that the wide receiver core and Saquon are going to have good games. So I wouldn't be too focused on trading one of those guys away because they're on the same team. I mean, look, if you can turn AJ Brown into a Justin Jefferson, if you can turn AJ Brown into, one of those top names, then I'm okay with that. But I wouldn't force it. Like, I'm not going to turn AJ Brown into Debo because I don't want 2 players on the same team. But if you could turn AJ Brown into Nico Collins and you can wait on Nico, great. If you could turn him into CeeDee Lamb or Chase or Tyreek or Jefferson, perfect. Otherwise, I think you hold.
Yeah, I agree. Look, I have both of those guys in the flock league. They've been pretty good. Obviously, AJ Brown was out for the first couple weeks of the season. But when they're both on your team and playing, they're going to be getting you over 40 points, 50 points almost combined on a week-to-week basis. So You keep those guys. You don't stress about them. And what's great is that they already had their bye week. So they don't have one of these late bye weeks. So I think you're fine at the moment. So I would keep both those guys.
Yeah, awesome. Let's see. Do we have any more questions over here on the site before we go to YouTube? Let's have a little geese. We do. Oh, well, that's the team review, actually. My bad. All right, let's go to YouTube. Again, guys, if you want to prioritize your questions, definitely check out the link to our website. Great way for you to ask a question. Otherwise, Super Chat is an option. But obviously, the website is better for a couple reasons. Do us a favor, by the way. Go ahead and smash that like button. We got a like goal today of 75 likes. With your help, I think we can get there. We're currently at 50, which is incredible. So be a friend, smash that like button. Let's get to some of these super chats. Go ahead.
Yeah, the first one's Michael. He says, add Lad, Downs, Tracy, Jacoby Myers, or JSN PPR pick 2. I mean, if these guys are on your waiver wires, this might be a smaller league.
In order for me right now, it would be Downs. Tracy is kind of a must-add too.
This is Downs, Tracy, Lad,
in that order.
Jacoby, and JSN. Or actually in that order. And then Myers or JSN. This would be Jacoby Myers over JSN.
I'm pretty indifferent on those two personally, but yeah, I definitely think Downs and Tracy are must-have. So is Lad, but you're obviously in a smaller league. But yeah, Downs, Tracy looks like Himothy was one of my favorite sleepers in the rookie class in Dynasty, by the way. I think he was a my guy, and that's awesome to see. I know you like him too, and
yeah,
hey,
he's
look
on
at us.
The Giants.
All right.
And now he's on my team, and what can you do? Anyways, Civilized Sir, he says start sit Chubb or Mostert in the flex. I'm not starting Nick Chubb personally. Look,
if Mostert's your best option, you're starting Mostert over Chubb.
The reason why I like Raheem Mostert is that he gets used in the end zone. So if he gets into that 5-10 yard line, it's Raheem Mostert. And that's kind of, obviously they were splitting more carries last year and he was getting a little bit more opportunities, but he's still getting the same usage in the end zone, which I like. Okay. At least what I saw with Tua in the one game back finally. And
I would go Nick Chubb still. I think there's only one game of evidence that they want to use Mostert like that. There's a lot of games this year of evidence that they want Achane to be the guy, so I just don't trust it enough. It is a good matchup, but Nick Chubb the snap share is improving. I think it was like 30% his first game back, up to 60% this last week. And if they get on the goal line, I actually think Nick Chubb is a legit option for them. He would be the number one option, and I just don't know if that's the case for the Dolphins. And we've seen with Jameis that they can move the ball. They scored a season-high points with Jameis starting. So it's close. I can definitely see both options paying off. It's not like I'm bullish on Chubb versus Mostert, but I just think that's what leads me to go Chubb over Mostert here. Yeah, and I also see a scenario where the Bills are down. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to run the ball the way they want to. I'm not sure if they want to target running backs that they're going to put Mostert out there over Achane anyway. So it'd be Chubb for me this week, but it's close.
Jacob, he says start one Tank Dell, Josh Downs, or DJ Moore. My goodness.
Josh Downs. Wait, I'm just realizing DJ Moore's in the question. Is DJ Moore Fugazi or is he real?
I mean,
is DJ Moore a real player in the NFL today? I just want someone to tell me if the answer is yes or no. Does he actually play for the Bears? Just curious.
The thing is, like, it's not even like someone else is doing better than him. Like, I get it. I get it if, Rome was getting 6-7 targets and catching 5 out of the 7. But that's not the case. Like, they all have like 2 or 3 catches. Like, Caleb is just not getting the ball to them, but he is throwing the ball in their direction, unfortunately.
Well, I'm going to go Josh Downs.
For me, this would be DJ Moore still.
Okay.
I just traded him away. Going against the Arizona Cardinals, which technically should also be a decent matchup. I don't know what's happening over there. Anyways,
it should be a good matchup, but Josh Downs is averaging over 19 points per game when Joe Flacco plays. DJ Moore has had one game that you've been happy with this entire year. Like, genuinely, I'm not just saying that to say that. You've had one game where you've been like, yes, DJ Moore is incredible at football, and he and Caleb are a great combo. I mean, at the moment, he's averaging 12.3 points per game. I do think it's going to get better, by the way. Like, I'm going to talk about him in an upcoming video because his playoff stretch is real sexy. His playoff stretch is probably the best. But I don't know that we're there yet, and for those reasons, I'm out.
that's why I traded for Garrett Wilson. XOXO, appreciate you. He says start two. Waddle,
Gossip
Mooney,
girl.
Ridley. Gossip girl, XOXO. Start two. Let's start there. Waddle, Mooney, or Ridley. This will be Waddle and Darnell Money Mooney still. Need to see it again from Calvin.
Had some zest on that layup, my boy.
That's
Start two. Waddle, Mooney, Ridley.
I could be zesty. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I said
no problem with
Waddle.
that.
I said Waddle and Mooney.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, Ridley, yeah, I mean, he went off versus one of the best matchups in fantasy. I don't know that I trust it on a week-to-week basis. I'd probably start Drake May if he plays, but
Yeah.
if he doesn't, I think you go Caleb.
I would start Drake May. I would start Drake May as well.
All right, Safe and Sound here says team grade, please. Guys, we don't do any team grades. The only team grade we do is on the website. We can definitely give you like a very quick little opinion on your team, but if you actually want a team grade and a team review, that is best done through our website. But let's have a look, right? So in a short version of that, Mahomes, Mixon, Rashad White, Brown, Flowers, Kelsey, Mooney. Yeah, not a bad team. RB2 is a little weak, but that could change with how the offense has changed. Don't love the Diontae Johnson trade for you. Mooney as a flex is not bad. If I were you, I'd probably look at packaging like a Jameson or a Javonte plus a Mooney or plus a Flowers or plus a Rashad White to upgrade your starting lineup.
Yeah, I would agree there, and maybe it's time to start streaming the quarterback position there with Mahomes.
Yeah.
Maybe Jared Goff is out there or Drake May. That's probably another route that I would do. But we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Joe, or not Joe. Yeah, Joe is right? Next. Amon-Ra and Bijan for JJ and HN. I'll take JJ and Devon.
This is a tough one.
I think what for me is just like Bijan's great.
A pretty washed type of deal. I don't think anyone's losing or winning this. I'll lean JJ, but overall, like I said, it's a pretty washed type of scenario here in my opinion.
Yeah. For me, it's just like, man, Devon's just been great. I know Bijan had a good game this past week. He has been having good games the past couple weeks, actually, 3 weeks.
Bijan has 3 games over 20 points now.
Yeah, which is phenomenal. And I think the only reason why Devon is down this bad is because Tua was in the game. The 2 games Tua was in the game, 3 games in total, 23, 29, and then 26. Where could Devon be right now if Tua didn't miss those weeks?
That's a good question.
So I'm gonna go there with with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I do think Achane is a potential league winner rest of season. All right, we got some questions on the website. We are always going to prioritize the website. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate all the donations, but like we've been saying for a couple months now, website questions will always get answered first. They will be prioritized. YouTube takes 30% of your donation over there on YouTube when you donate. So we're just trying to let you guys know the best way to support us is actually through the site. And it's honestly better for you. By the way, just a quick little thing here. If you're donating a super chat, I just want you to know that on the website, when you donate there, it'll send you a time code to exactly when we answer your question, right? So for example, if you're going to donate on YouTube, you just have to wait around. You don't know when it's going to be answered exactly because we have a lot of questions, which is awesome. You guys are incredible. But if you donate through the website and you ask a question, right, which you can do team review, start sit, trade question, whatever the case may be, you'll get a time code to exactly when we answered it. But let's have a look here. Super message from Paseda Mese. I'm probably saying that wrong. Pittman, worth it rest of season. Someone sent Sutton for him. Would you rather have Sutton or Pittman rest of season?
I would rather have Michael Pittman still rest of season. Even if it was Anthony Richardson. The
chance that you get the rest of the way with Flacco is very intriguing to have a name like Pittman there. So I'm gonna agree with you there.
Yeah,
it's worth taking on the risk if A-Rich comes back, is what I'm saying, because that would be awful, but I think it's worth taking on that risk.
Yeah, it's worth taking on that risk, which I completely agree. Ricardo, I think, is next.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a team review. Okay, did you want to do the super chat and do the team reviews at the end, or did you want to go for it now?
No, if it's a redraft team review, those are a bit more on theme.
Let's see.
Is more.
Yeah, this is a redraft team review, but I think he did not submit his team correctly.
No, I don't think he did. Ricardo, if you're in the chat, I'm going to give you a free team review voucher here. Okay, first off, thank you. And I'm going to give you a free team review. And I'm also going to go ahead and give you a free start sit question as well for $80 is kind of crazy. I appreciate you, man. But you didn't link your team properly, Ricardo. So if you are watching this right now, what you need to make sure you've done first is go to the My Teams feature. And click add new and make sure that you link up your team. Once you've linked up your team, it's going to be very easy to get a team review. You go team review, you select the league that you want to get a team review. For example, if I wanted to get the Flock League reviewed, when I go to next, all I got to do is click my team. For example, do it for Chris, hit continue, leave any comments that you want there. And then you will be able to we'll be able to actually see your team, because right now we can't actually see your team. So I'm going to hit next question. It's going to say complete, but I've already given you a free voucher to resubmit. All right. I want to make sure we get a good review for you, my man.
Yeah, we appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Feel free to ask any questions.
Yeah.
Wait, he says, can you do it again?
Do it one more time.
All right. So again, what you're going to want to do is go to the My Teams feature here on the left side of your screen. And by the way, if you guys don't have an account yet, you can get some of these features for free. Sign up with the promo code LAND, L-A-N-D, at sign up. You'll get the My Teams feature for free. Not a free team review, but you can see the My Teams expert consensus rankings, trade calculator. But what you're going to want to do is hit add new. All right, Sleeper, ESPN, or Yahoo. Once you link up your team there, when you go to that link in the chat, which I will put in the browser here, you can see the team review option, and then it automatically should have your team linked up here on the left. It'll automatically enter your settings, and then all you need to do is select your team. For example, my team in the Flock League is named Do It for Chris. And then you can put through all the rest of the information here. All right. So that is available to anybody who deems it worthy. If you deem it worthy, great. We appreciate you. If you don't, no pressure, no hard feelings.
No problemos, man. No problemos. We appreciate you. Thank you, Ricardo. Hopefully we'll be looking for that team review today. I mean, not today, but
yeah, we got time. There's plenty of time on the stream. So
figure out that shit.
If you end up having any issues, our Discord's in the description, and our devs live there to help out. Oh, okay. We did just get another question through the website. It's from one of my best friends growing up, Dom Cercello. I know that name. I'll never forget that name. Okay, that name will always stand out to me.
That's the dude that has like that music channel. Hey.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's doing his thing, baby. Dom, what's up, man? He has a trade offer where he gets Diontae and sends away Waddle. No, thank you. No, thank you, Dom. Hopefully you haven't done this trade yet. But I definitely want the Waddle side of this. It's not even close. We talked about Diontae Johnson a little bit at the beginning of the video, by the way, guys. If you haven't heard our reaction, go to the very beginning of the video. We talk about Diontae Johnson. But just a little summation here from me. Overall, I hate the move. I hate the move. Not a fan of it whatsoever. Don't like it for fantasy football. Love it for real NFL football. But Diontae Johnson is someone who thrives on targets and in a low passing volume offense. Now with a bunch of names to compete with for targets, I hate it for Diontae Johnson. He says, I have Tyreek and Achane, so who do I go for? All right, so first off, it's not a good time to trade Jalen Waddle. Like, let's all be on the same page there. He didn't have the best game, right? He is someone who had, I think, 6 targets, caught 4 of them for 45 yards. But we know Jalen Waddle has these blow-up games, right? Remember back in 2023, he had the 25-point game versus New England, 19 versus the Jets, 28 versus the Jets. Back in 2022, when he was actually healthy, he had a 40-point game versus Baltimore, 16, 30, 19, 20, 25. So he has these blow-up games. What you don't want to do is try and trade him when the last time he had a good game was week 1. So right now is a terrible time to trade Jalen Waddle. In fact, it would be a good time to go buy him if you're in a fantasy league, in my opinion, right? Because most of the issue is that there was no Tua. Now with Tua back, this team's going to get better. So if you're going to try and trade Jalen Waddle, it's just a terrible time to do so. Like rest of season, I still have him, I think, fringe top 24 wide receiver. Yeah, he's a top 24 wide receiver for me rest of season still. I mean, if you want to trade him, these are the names that I would value him around, right? Like the Pickens of the world, the Devonta Smiths, the Olaves, the DJ Moores.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to go. I was like, look, maybe you can go out and technically go buy somebody else on the low, like a Brian Thomas who just lost Christian Kirk and is injured. Maybe you have the ability to do that because you are 4-4 or 5-3. Or 6-1 or 7-1, whatever the case may be. Like maybe you can go out and trade for a Brian Thomas or Deebo Samuel, or T Higgins. I think I would rather have Jalen over T right now, if T can't stay healthy. But I mean, at least those are the 2 names, Brian Thomas and Deebo, that you can potentially go out and trade for. With BTJ most likely missing a week or 2, and then Deebo on his bye week right now. Other than that, I would just keep him because I do believe that there will be better weeks for him.
He said he picked him up because someone dropped him to the waivers. So I definitely love that you did that, by the way, Dom, but it's not a good time to trade him. You got to wait for him to have a couple pop-off games, to be honest with you. And honestly, if you have Tyreek, I don't mind keeping Waddle. Can you flip Tyreek? And he's my wide receiver 1 rest of the season, Tyreek is. I still feel that way. But if you can flip a Tyreek, maybe he has a good game this week. If you can flip him into a Chase or a Lamb or a Jefferson and stay in that top tier, and then keep Jalen Waddle rest of season, then I think that also benefits you. But it's just not a good time to trade Jalen Waddle right now. And I definitely do not want Diontae Johnson over him.
Completely agree. We appreciate you, Dom. Thank you, man.
Appreciate you, man.
I think we do have another one on the site here. I stink, he says.
Well, that's who he is, actually. That's his
that's
name.
Who he is.
That's who he. That's what he embodies. Stink.
Stink. He says QB 1 point per completion, 1 point bonus for 50 plus.
Wait,
touchdown
1 point
passing.
per completion? Hold on. Hold on a second.
Hold on.
Is that real? 1 point per completion for a quarterback.
If that's the case,
did your commissioner think this through?
If that's the case, you need to go pick up Geno Smith, brother, if he's available, because that's the guy you should own.
Can we think about this for a second? Hold on. 1 point per completion. Okay, let's go to 2023 for a second. I want you guys to think about how outrageous this is. All right. So 2023, who had the most completions? Dak Prescott had 410 completions. I want you guys to think about this for a second. 410 completions. So that's 410 points off of completions alone. And then you add in the 36 touchdowns, which if you're in a 6-point passing touchdown league, that's 36 times 6. That's 216. And then if you add in the yardage, how many passing yards did he have? 4, 5, 1, 6, and you divide that by, or you times that by 0.25, I think. No, I'm doing that math wrong. 4, 5. 1, 6, and you would divide that by 0.25, right? Shit, I'm doing this wrong. Fuck. Anyway, it's ridiculous. All right, it's ridiculous. Is what I'm trying to say. Like you would have quarterbacks scoring like over 30 points per game. Anyway, that's insane.
No, look, it is insane at the moment. Once again, completions is you want Geno Smith. I doubt that he's available. He's probably most likely been picked up already. But if I'm looking at completions, Sam Darnold has a high completion rate, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm thinking off the top of my head, let me just pull it up.
Okay, I just did the math with the help of someone in the chat. Okay, so Dak Prescott last year would have scored 806 points, which is 47 points per game. Anyway, he has Darnold, he has Jones, he has Tua, he has Cousins. That's honestly so stupid. But Kirk Cousins will be my start this week. He's one of my favorite plays at the quarterback position. Real big fan of that matchup versus Dallas, if I'm not mistaken.
Currently third in completions as well. Tied for third in completions this year so far. So you just want a guy that's going to throw the ball a lot, and that's Kirk Cousins. That's Sam Darnold. That's Tua. Tua, I wonder what his completion rate would have been if he played a full season so far. But anyways, you started Devon, you start Jonathan Taylor, you start Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson at the tight end position, you start Brock Bowers at the flex.
Yeah, I wanted to double check my quarterback 6 on the week. Kirk Cousins is. So big fan of him this week.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's crazy.
And it's Monty
still Brock
or
Bowers.
Exactly, Brock Bowers, and then Monty or Cade Alton here. I think I'm gonna go Monty.
PPR format. They play the Chiefs, which is the best matchup for tight ends. I'm gonna go Cade. It's close though.
No worries. Yeah, I'll go. I'm gonna go Monty. Should be a high scoring game. They should get into the end zone a lot. But yes, this is a great team. But we appreciate you, man. I mean, that's fun. I low key like thought when I first started fantasy, I was like, oh shit, quarterbacks should be like they should get points all the time because they throw the ball so much. And
I mean,
that was my first thought when I first started fantasy. I was like, okay, yeah, quarterback should be valued.
Imagine being up 110 points and someone has, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a name. Like Joe Burrow would be huge in this league. Imagine someone had Joe Burrow on Monday Night Football and you're up by 110 and you're like, fuck, I'm screwed. That's ridiculous. All right. Ricardo here, by the way, has submitted his team now.
Okay, awesome.
And
let's see.
It's all submitted the right way. We appreciate you, Ricardo. He says, sent my message before, but I am putting Bigsby and Ingram to the waiver for Downs and Coleman. So this is a redraft. It says it's a 2-quarterback league. 10 teams start 7. And his name is Koopy Loopy. He's currently third in my rankings, if I was to rank your league. And you have 2.
Oh my goodness. Why is that?
All right, 2 twin towers. Here. Okay, these guys are running the league, mixing it up in Jaden's quality. They're walking around. They think their shit doesn't stink. They say, yes, call me daddy. And unfortunately, right now, it looks like their teams, you might have to. 10 teams start 7. You are currently third.
Call me daddy.
Let's look at his team now. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll have a look at this team here. Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, Drake May. So this is a 2-quarterback. You're starting Josh Allen, Sam Darnold, and you have Drake May. This is great quarterback room. At the running back room, you have CMC, Swift, Chase Brown, Tank with Bucky, and Isaiah Pacheco. So you've definitely been hurt with injuries. You have been one of the people. I hope you didn't draft Rashee Rice because that just would have been like the 1-2-3 punch there. Anyways,
yeah, I mean,
you get what I'm saying? But like you've recovered, you're 4-4, which is great.
All the teams that I had Rashee Rice in, I was undefeated until he went down with an injury, and I felt like I was going to win every league I had him in. So that sucks. But for him to be 4-4 and Christian McCaffrey hasn't even played yet, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he said I did draft him. So you had CMC, Pacheco, and Rashee Rice, and you had Cooper Kupp, and you had Jalen Waddle. Oh my gosh! And
bro, you drafted a monster.
Dude, you're 4-4. You're chilling. I mean,
let's think about this for a second, Badaki.
Fantasy wants you to win.
You haven't had Christian McCaffrey the entire year. You pretty much haven't had Jalen Waddle the entire year because there's been no Tua. right? And you haven't had Cooper Kupp for the majority of the season, and you're still somehow 4-4. So that's absolutely ridiculous. That's absolute insanity. It's a 10-team start 7, so it's a smaller format. But why don't we, before we look at the rest of the team, give him a grade from an A to an F? All right. I'm going to say this is a solid when CMC is back. Considering you have a pretty good quarterback room in Superflex, start 7. I'm going to say this is probably A minus territory.
Yeah, this is a great team. I think, obviously, by the way, Evan Ingram was injured as well, I think, for a couple weeks. And yes, I'll give it an A minus.
A lot of people are bringing up a great question as why is Brock Bowers and Trey McBride on the waiver wire? And that's a very good question. If they are on the waiver wire, they shouldn't be.
I feel like, but if you look at some teams, they don't have tight ends, so I think it just might be a glitch.
Yeah.
In our end, so hopefully that's the case. But if
I'm assuming that's a glitch. I'm assuming Foosball has one of those tight ends. I'm assuming Jaden's quality team has one of those tight ends. Oh, Ricardo says they don't require a tight end. It's just a flex. That actually makes a lot of sense. So it's a start 7, but you don't have to play a tight end. That's why some of those guys are on the waiver wire. And I guess that makes sense. Like, well, why do you have Evan Ingram then? Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it,
that's what I was gonna say. Then Evan Ingram shouldn't be rostered.
So first off, the waivers are right, so that's interesting to note. Secondly, I'm dropping Wan'Dale Robinson for Josh Downs right now.
I mean,
okay,
yeah,
that's the second move I'm making. Drop Wan'Dale Robinson, pick up Josh Downs. We'll do that in a heartbeat. Drop Evan Ingram. And are you picking up either Ladd, Bowers? It might be Bowers I'm picking up.
Yeah, that's what I was. Honestly, I'm going for whoever is averaging the most fantasy points per game.
I think that will be Bowers when all is said and done. I'm also dropping Pacheco and picking up Tyrone Tracy.
Yep, perfect. That's exactly where I was going next. Or Tank. Oh, no, I'm keeping Tank, but yeah. So here are the main. Let's just start from the top. Here are players that we want to somehow acquire: Brock Bowers.
Yep, Josh and you drop Downs. Evan Ingram.
Yeah,
Josh Downs, so and you drop Wan'Dale Robinson.
And then Isaiah Pacheco, and you pick up Tyrone Tracy.
Drop Pacheco, pick up Tyrone Tracy. You've instantly made your team better by
making those moves. So he says, so I'm dropping Bigsby for Downs and Ingram from Coleman. So we would swap Ingram for Downs, Bigsby for Downs. Ingram for Brock Bowers. Excuse me.
I'd prefer to keep Bigsby over Pacheco. I just don't. I mean, if your waiver wires are this vibrant, if they're this active and alive, then I would be fine dropping Pacheco and picking up a name like Tyrone. So again, to be very clear, here's what I would do. Dropping Pacheco, picking up Tyrone Tracy if I owned your team. All right. I would drop Wan'Dale Robinson and I would pick up Josh Downs. I would drop Evan Ingram and I would pick up Brock Bowers. And if Brock Bowers is added or something, then I would drop Evan Ingram and I would pick up a Ladd McConkey instead. But either way, you've got really great waiver wires available to you. And that instantly improves your team a lot. And by the way, if you drop Pacheco and you need another running back, then you've got Jonathan Brooks, Travis Etienne. So your waiver wire is chocked full of great options right now. And the fact that you don't need a tight end, I mean, you can still start Brock Bowers. He's still a flexible name. It is no tight end, no premium on tight ends, but
yeah, anyway, no premium on tight ends. I mean,
that would be my first course of action.
So this is start 7 super flex. So technically start 8, right?
No, that's start 7.
Okay, so let's have a look. So at quarterback QB1, you have Josh Allen. RB1, Swift. RB2,
Josh Allen and Sam Darnold would start.
Okay,
it's a 2 quarterback.
Right,
league.
It's 2 quarterback. It's not technically super flex.
It might be super flex, but he's starting 2. So it's Allen, Darnold, CMC, Swift, Jefferson, Kupp, and then you have one more option to start, right? Which could be Waddle or Smith or whoever you want.
Or Smith or whoever you want. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure.
As far as trades, like you honestly have a bunch of buy lows. I'm not going to sell Justin Jefferson. I'm not going to sell Josh Allen. I'm going to try and buy low on CMC in my fantasy leagues right now. I'm going to try and buy low on Justin Jefferson or Cooper Kupp and Jalen Waddle. I think the one name you could probably sell high is DeAndre Swift. In fact, if I could package DeAndre Swift and a Devonta Smith coming off a good game and get a superstar RB2, I think that could be the difference between winning your league and just making the playoffs. So, for example, can we package Swift and Waddle? Let's find a RB needy team to the guy who has Ramondre Stevenson as his RB2. And let's go and get... that might not work. Let's try a different team then. Would you package Swift? Probably not Devonta, but Swift and Wan'Dale before you dropped him, maybe to try and get a Josh Jacobs. I would do that.
Yep, I'm okay with that. I'm just looking for like another top wide.
A team that has...
I feel like it needs more that needs a team that needs more of a wide receiver than a running back, I think.
This team has Bijan Robinson. If you can send him Devonta Smith and DeAndre Swift to get Bijan Robinson, I think that's a huge win for you. I think it could make sense for him as well with his current needs of his team. David Montgomery's not going to interest me. Let's see.
He said, I can try. These people are stingy.
Yeah, all you can do is throw out an offer and see what they say.
Ricardo also said, like, Pacheco's on IR, so I don't have room to drop and pick up.
Okay. I think that's really like the main couple moves that you can make to get an RB2. But overall, I think your goal should be packaging Swift and a Devonta Smith and a Waddle, for example, to go upgrade at RB2. But again, Ingram is dropped, in my opinion. Wan'Dale is dropped, in my opinion. I'm not so sure I hold on to Tank Bigsby, to be honest.
Oh, well, that's why he's probably saying, like, well, I'm just going to drop Tank for the player. So I would drop Tank for Tracy, Wan'Dale for Downs, Ingram for Brock Bowers. So you do position for position, essentially. Try and get those guys on your team. Because if you think about it, Tank is going to be splitting the carries with Travis Etienne when he is back and healthy.
I agree.
Tyrone Tracy is already the lead back in this backfield. You're getting Wan'Dale Robinson or Josh Downs for Wan'Dale Robinson, essentially, has now Joe Flacco, who's technically in the better offense.
And honestly, if you can package Bigsby in a deal, like do a 3-for-1, like in most leagues, I'm doing 2-for-1 in smaller formats. In your league with your waiver wire being completely stacked, I would do 3-for-1s if it got a deal done. Like I would package Bigsby, Swift, and Devonta Smith for a Bijan Robinson in this format, right? I don't mind losing 4 players for 1 because you can go pick up 4 of the same replaceable level players on the waiver wire anyway. So I think overall your goal should be doing as many 2-for-1, 3-for-1 type of deals. That would be my goal at least. And then again, like we said, picking up those names off the waiver wire that we feel are priorities or should be considered priorities, right?
Yeah, I agree. But this is a great team. I think you're still in contention here. I think you're doing really well for being 4-4, especially with all the injuries that you have acquired essentially this season. And it's only going to get better with some of these moves. You get Cooper Kupp back. You get Tua back for Waddle. Obviously,
you're definitely making the playoffs.
Well. Yeah, I think this is great.
It's just about positioning yourself in a way where you can actually win it all. Last thing I'll say, your untouchables: Josh Allen, CMC, Jefferson, Kupp. Those are your untouchables. All right. Every other name you can move. Again, Waddle is not a good trade right now because he hasn't performed yet. I think DeAndre Swift is a glaring sell high. But outside of that, that's great. And this is the beauty of a team review, guys. I mean, you can only say so much in a message, but in a team review, we have the entire context of your entire league. We can come up with ideas for you, trade ideas, start some inspiration in your mind, tell you what your goals should be, how we view your team, how we would grade it, look at your waiver wire. It really gives us an opportunity to look at the full package. But we appreciate you, Ricardo. Please feel free to come back if you have any questions. Remember, we gave you a start-sit voucher for free as a thank you. And you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to give you a trade question for free as a thank you. If you have any trade questions, maybe you've had some offers sent or whatever the case may be, come back and ask us a question. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that, man. I don't think we have any questions on the chat or in the
We
site
do.
anymore. Okay, go ahead.
A super message from Daniel, and he says, "Hey, gents, got offered Chuba for Chubb. Is it? Do you think that's what that means? As in Nick Chubb for Chuba Hubbard?
I think it's Chuba for Nick Chubb.
I'll be honest, I'm not opposed to it. I think Chuba should bring you a bigger return, though. Here's the reason I'm not opposed to it. The Panthers are going to be an even worse offense now. It's going to be rough. And you're going to be able to stack the box pretty easily. I don't know if this is the beginning of the end for Chuba Hubbard, but as of what we know right now, he should be more valuable in a trade than Nick Chubb. Right? So I like the idea of moving off of Nick Chubb. I just feel like you should be able to get more value. Can you not get into a different range? Like, maybe I'm being unrealistic, but can you not get to like a Tyrone Tracy, a Chase Brown, a Dobbins,
Stevenson, a Kareem Hunt? I mean, hell, I'll take Najee right now. He's been looking all right.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard. I don't know if you want Tony Pollard. Those are some names I would go for personally, and I know a lot of. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think I would settle for this trade, but I don't love it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not a big Nick Chubb guy, so I would be looking at the names that Zach was mentioning. I mean, yeah, give me 2-for-1s as well. Like, can I get a, can I get like an Austin Eckler and a wide receiver, a flex wide receiver? Like, that's what I would be looking for as well, because I get it. A lot of people are saying like, Jonathan Brooks is going to come back, which I do believe, or is going to start finally. We just don't know when that's actually going to happen. And it's every week is like he's getting closer, but we just haven't really seen it. But that's what I'll be looking for as well. Anyways, appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you, Daniel. Let me just double check we don't have any other questions on the site. If you guys want to get your question prioritized, you're under no obligation to do so. But of course, if people are going to donate, we're going to get to their questions first. It's just a thank you to them for investing into us, really. So definitely check out the site if you want your question prioritized. We also have some super chats over here.
Yeah.
What's the next one that you can see?
Brisket here says, would you drop Bigsby for Downs or Tracy? I would drop for Downs or Tracy, to be honest.
Unfortunately, it's not letting me see those questions anymore. The chat, it kind of froze and then refreshed. So let me try and
no worries.
Let me try and find a way to pull this up potentially for us.
This is where
do you go again to look at it?
Viewer analytics.
The viewer analytics. Okay.
I'm not sure if you can click on that though, unfortunately, to pop it up.
I can't, but what I can do is show people like that screen, if that makes sense. All right, so sorry, who did you just say?
I would drop for either Downs or Tracy, personally.
No, what was it? What was the person's name?
Brisket.
Okay. Yeah, there's quite a few I'm not gonna be able to show. Okay. Yeah, I would prefer Downs and Tracy over Bigsby.
Yeah, I would agree there as well.
Whichever position you have a bigger need at.
We answered the Meats one earlier. Jamar Joseph, he says PPR, Dowdle or Irving rest of the season. This is Bucky Irving. I would say for both of us.
Yeah. I'm just gonna copy their questions and then put it into the chat. All right, so people can see it. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
So this is from Jamar Joseph. Irving for the rest of the season for me. Yeah.
Yeah, Irving, and this is, would you drop Mason for either of these or either of these? I wouldn't drop Mason. I would try to sell Mason, but I think if CMC does come back in week 10, then you might as well drop him. But
Try and trade him.
if I would try and trade him, because look, anything can happen. We're all optimistic that CMC is going to come back in week 10, but then, oh, by the way, he's going to come back in week 11 or week 12. He needs another 2 more weeks. Then you should be like, damn, I should have sold Mason for whatever I could have got him for.
Yeah.
That's where I would be trying to do first.
Okay. Next question that I can see is from Santo 543.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep, that's
Go
right.
ahead.
He says BCJ for Dell and Pollard. 10-team PPR 2 and 6. Your wide receivers are Zay, BCJ, Pittman. Running backs are JT, Brian Robinson, Tracy, Ramondre. So you're 2 and 6. Looks like you have to win.
Pittman is going to get a huge boost. JT,
I think if you
B-Rob,
have-
Tracy.
If you need to win this week, I feel like Tank Dell is the guy you need on your team.
I wouldn't start Dell over Zay or Pittman personally this week.
No, but if there's a flex option there and he has to start another one, I guess Ramondre Stevenson could be it. Maybe Tyrone Tracy is going to miss out. Brian Robinson is there. So you're starting Jonathan Taylor, Brian Robinson as your RB1, RB2. Wide receiver 1 would be Michael Pittman and Zay. And then your flex options, let's just say this is start 7. I would say Tank Dell is the best option out of all these guys, the rest of these guys. But it's just difficult because, once again, you need to win.
Yeah. I would leave this in the inbox, and if Brian plays this week, I wouldn't make this deal. I would just start Zay, Brian, Pittman in the flex, and then JT, Tracy, or B-Rob. Overall, I don't mind the deal, but I'm just not obsessed with the players. It's pretty fair, though. I think you can do that deal if you don't have Brian Thomas this week. Yeah. All right, the next super chat is from Chow. Is it Chow? Is that the next one?
Yeah, Chow's next. He
Go ahead.
says Tyreek and Kenneth Walker for Gibbs and Garrett Wilson. I think this is a even deal.
I
for
want
me.
Tyreek and Ken Walker. Garrett Wilson isn't in the same league as these other names, in my opinion. Not when I'm thinking rest of season rankings. Kenneth Walker
Look,
and Gibbs, I would view evenly, and it's Tyreek over Garrett Wilson by a mile.
I think for me, there's just a bigger gap, even though it's not a big gap, but I think there's a bigger gap with Gibbs and Walker. But I can understand Tyreek and Wilson, so I can understand that thought process. I think I just feel safer with Gibbs and Garrett over specifically Kenneth Walker.
Okay.
But I feel comfortable with Tyreek, which is
Gibbs
great.
has played one more game than Ken Walker this year, and Walker's the RB9, Gibbs is the RB6. I would view them pretty similar value in rest of season, but with Tyreek Hill, I think he's a huge upgrade over Garrett. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, we got another trade question or another. Okay, Ricardo, I can finally pull up the questions now. There's Ricardo. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ricardo, he says start one Shakira, D-Hop, Tillman, and plus Bucky or Brown. So start one Shakira, D-Hop, Tillman, Bucky or Brown. Yeah, I'm going Cedric Tillman this week as well. If not, it would be Bucky or Brown.
I think that's a separate question.
That is a separate question. So Bucky Irving or Chase Brown, I'm assuming that is.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I would still go. Actually, I would go Chase Brown this week. Against the
Chase
Raiders.
Brown has a pretty good matchup versus the Raiders. Bucky is not far behind him in my rankings. Actually, I'm going to go Bucky over Chase Brown. The matchup is good against the Raiders, but the entire offense for the Bucks is built around these running backs now. I mean, they might both get 5+ targets a game. Every time Baker's dropping back, he's dumping it off to one of these running backs. So, yeah, I definitely think they're both really good options this week, but I'm just going to lean on, in a PPR league, those guys a little bit more.
Yep, and that's fair. Roman, He says start to Terry, Marv, Mooney, or D Hop. This would be Terry and Marvin. I love Mooney, but
Yeah,
I'll
agreed.
start Terry and Marvin. He says, what value is Olave worth in a trade deal? Thanks, love the content.
I think
Just really
he's
depends.
just about to take off, man. I want to hold on to Olave. No Rashid Shaheed. We could see 10 plus targets a game moving forward for Olave. So I think if you want to sell him, I think you should wait a couple more games personally.
Yeah, and also what I was gonna say is like I think it just really depends on what your league, how your league values them or values him specifically. Um, if they like Chris Olave, then they're gonna want to pay a pretty penny. But if not, then obviously that might be a little bit more difficult. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
Sam.
we have
Oh,
some
go ahead.
questions through the site, so I think we should go to the site
Yeah, let's do
first
that.
here.
Let's do that. Go ahead.
So let's see here. We've got Ricardo, Daniel. I do see your team review here. We'll probably wait to the end of the stream to do that, Dan, just because it is a dynasty review. So we'll just wait to the end. Start sit here from Ricardo. We gave him that free voucher as a thank you for doing a team review. Let's go ahead and look at this lineup. Go ahead. 10 team, start 8 this week.
Yeah. Obviously quarterback, Josh Allen, Sam Darnold was starting. DeAndre Swift with Chase Brown. And Bucky Irving there. I would still go. I think we just answered this on the site. Yeah, starting Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, and flexing Devonta Smith. Are you flexing Devonta Smith or Jalen Waddle this week? For me, this would be Devonta Smith.
Yeah, I'll go Smith over Waddle. But at the running back position, I would personally be starting Bucky Irving over Chase Brown this week. Both are great options, but in a PPR format, I just feel like their offense is built around those guys now. So that would be the only change I would make. But I am going to go Smith over Waddle in the flex as well.
Yeah, and it makes sense with Bucky. I think the PPR upside is going to be there. I feel really confident that the Bengals going to move the ball down the field and have hopefully multiple scoring opportunities here against the Raiders at home as well.
Yeah.
But if you just want the safer floor with Bucky, I wouldn't be opposed to starting him because you just expect five to six targets coming his way.
If he picks up Downs, I'm personally playing Downs over Devonta Smith. I know he just said that at the end there in the YouTube chat, but if he picks up Downs, I would play Downs over Smith and Waddle personally.
For me, it will still be Devonta Smith, but I can completely understand starting him as well. I think they both have good matchups. I would just rather go with Devonta Smith.
I think most people are probably on that side. I guess I'll just explain my rationale behind it. It's the best matchup in fantasy football right now against the Vikings. Joe Flacco is playing, and the games where Flacco has played, Downs averaging over 19 PPR points per game. So that's my rationale behind it, but definitely have some great options there. By the way, I just want to quickly go back to Roman's question because he is wanting to trade for Olave. And these are always difficult questions to really give good answers to because but you kind of hit on this, but everybody values players differently in fantasy football. So we can't really tell you what Olave is worth in your league, but he would be a top 24 name for me. So if you can send away a name like a Devonta Smith or Lab McConkey, a Zay Flowers, I'd love to get off Flowers right now with the addition of Diontae Johnson. The Amari Coopers, DeAndre Hopkins, if people still believe in like the hype, they're going to be better, by the way. They're going to be better, but I would prefer to have an Olave rest of season. I'm not so sure I prefer DJ Moore anymore over Olave now that I'm thinking about it. Just the way they're distributing those targets, I might actually lean Chris Olave, but it's in that range, I'd say.
Yeah, and I would just say this, and I always say this because I know a lot of our home leagues, people in our home leagues love to use Fantasy Pros rest of season rankings. Chris Olave currently wide receiver 14 in a PPR. Here's a name, three names ahead. Yeah, 3 names ahead and 3 names underneath Chris Olave. 3 names ahead. We have Cooper Kupp, Brian Thomas, Terry McLaurin.
That's kind of.
I would rather have all those players over Chris Olave. The 3 players underneath Chris Olave: Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, Garrett Wilson. Me personally, I mean Jaden Reed, hell, Marvin Harrison, T Higgins. Me personally, I would rather have all those players over Chris Olave right now.
That just seems. I don't feel like anyone in a league values them that way. I know that's Fantasy Pros rest of season.
Yeah,
that just seems. Out
Well,
of touch.
that's the reason why I always use this is because people reference fantasy pros and then they go back to where they drafted Chris Olave. Chris Olave was at what the 2-3 turn. And
Yeah.
I always said that was way too high. That's kind of where you were getting the Cooper Cups. Well, Cooper Cup was technically going later. Garrett Wilson was a whole round earlier than him. So it's just, I don't know. But I agree. I would rather have all those players over Chris Olave.
Just want to make sure we answered that well. All right. Next question on the site is from Bobby Baloney.
Bobby Baloney.
Did you grow up with that Baloney commercial? Bologna.
Hey, no. Because Oscar's mine has a
Bologna.
name. Yeah. Bologna.
Anyway.
No, definitely. I've definitely grew up with that. Anyways, he says, oh, excuse me. Feel like I can't roster Zay and DJ now. Thoughts? Chase Brown for Zay Flowers.
Oh, so you have both. Oh, that's rough. Oh, dude. Imagine you had a fantasy team with both Diontae and Zay Flowers on it today.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I feel for you. That's not fun. I feel like Zay is more valuable than Chase Brown rest of the season. Would you do this deal and then try and trade Diontae or Zay? I would still take Zay over Chase Brown in a trade, and then I would try and flip Zay Flowers for something else. I feel like
I just don't know if people are gonna value, like, I'm not saying Chase Brown is valued higher than Zay Flowers. I just think that people see Diontae and be like, oh, well, I don't want Zay Flowers anymore.
Yeah, they could do that. What's the Fantasy Pros site say? What is their line for a running back if you look at overall rankings for Zay Flowers?
Yeah, I'm pulling that up.
What is
right
their
now.
line? Because that could be interesting.
Zay Flowers, J.K. Dobbins is the closest one.
Okay.
Tyrone Tracy.
Okay.
That's 3 players underneath him. The 3 running backs ahead of him is DeAndre Swift, Ryan Robinson, and Tony Pollard.
I thought he'd be higher, not gonna lie.
Chase Brown, according to this, Zay Flowers overall wide receiver or player 45, Chase Brown player 54 in Fantasy Pros, and this is PPR scoring.
I'm pretty indifferent on this, to be honest. I don't have a strong opinion. I kind of wish you could get into a different range of. Look, here's what I'll say. If I was to make this deal, I would already be talking to other players first. Like, for example, can I get into the Tony Pollard, Robinson, Swift, Connor range? If I can for Zay Flowers, then I will do that deal. If I can, I might just keep Chase Brown. So, I'd say it's pretty fair.
I'm there with you. Appreciate you. Do you have another one on the site?
I don't know if we have any other. We have that review, which we'll do at the end of the stream, but no other questions on the site right now.
Maybe we'll knock out these YouTube ones and then we'll do that review there. The next super chat that I can see here is from
Sam.
Roman.
Right. We already did Roman though.
Oh, did we? Okay. Yes, Sam. I apologize. Sam, he says start 1, Amari, Moore, Mooney, Downs, McConkey. This here would be still DJ Moore for me. It's close with with Josh Downs, but I'm going DJ Moore.
It'd be Josh Downs for me. I've said it a lot, but yeah, just best matchup in fantasy, averaging over 19 points per game with Joe Flacco. That's my rationale. DJ Moore's had one good game this year. Steven says, would you trade Tracy and Higgins for Walker? That's interesting. What's your conviction on Tyrone Tracy? Because there's a chance he really breaks out.
I mean, I feel like that's already happened. I think the biggest question is what's everyone's conviction on Kenneth Walker. I mean, not that he hasn't, but like the opportunities here have been going down and down and down. I mean, yeah, week one comes out, goes crazy. He's getting targets in the air, which has been great, but the opportunities on the ground is not there. But that's maybe because they've been down the whole time. They haven't had a positive game script at all outside of Atlanta. Um,
Yeah.
in recent games, if you really think about it.
My conviction on Ken Walker, I think, is a lot stronger than yours based on our conversations. I mean, if you look at points per game basis, he's the RB5 in fantasy football. And there was a couple weeks there where Zach Charbonnet went crazy and they still said, thanks, Zach. Let's start playing
Thank you
Ken
for your
again.
service.
Yeah. He's averaging more points per game than Kyron Williams. He's averaging more points per game than Gibbs, Taylor, Bijan, Cook, Brees, Monty. So,
my
I
thing
love him.
here would be, yeah. Look, I'm not saying I don't like Kenneth Walker. I'm just saying I'm a little bit concerned about this offense, and I'm not saying the Giants' offense is better than Ken. I would rather have Kenneth Walker over Tyrone Tracy, but I think there's a lot more context here. Like when T. Higgins is back and healthy, obviously we've been saying this. I mean, he was averaging more targets, more fantasy points at the time than Jamar Chase when he was on the field and healthy. Can he stay healthy in that second half of the season for your fantasy team? Tyrone Tracy, when he's been on the field, I mean, I don't know what he's been averaging right now on games that he has been the starter, but the games he was the starter, he's been carrying the ball for over 100 yards and over, I think, 16, 17 tokes a game. And he's getting the opportunity in the air. He's clearly the number one running back on a worst offense. So I completely understand that. I just think, what's the context? Do you need another wide receiver? Is this a start 10? And you're going to bank on T. Higgins and be okay with Tracy? Or this is a start 8? If this is a start 8, I'm 100% going Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, if this is a smaller league, I'll take Walker. If this is a 12-team start 10 bigger format, then I'll take Tracy and Higgins.
Yeah.
All right, next super chat is from White Guy who says T. Higgins or Amari Cooper. T. Higgins if he plays, and it's not even relatively close actually if he plays.
Yeah, I agree. I want T. Higgins.
And rest of season. Jonathan says drop Dalton for Flacco as my third quarterback in Superflex. Yeah, in a heartbeat. Yeah. Let's do that.
No question. So Yeti, how you doing? He says, do I drop Hunt for Tracy and drop Goddard for Henry? I would still keep Kareem Hunt. I want both Hunt and Tracy on my team. I would rather have Hunter Henry right now than Dallas Goddard. I think he's the number one target on this offense when Drake May's on the field. Dallas Goddard is not the number one option, but he is technically on the better offense. So take that as you will.
I would drop Hunt for Tracy, but I'd first try and trade Hunt in a package deal to free up a spot. And then I would drop Goddard for Henry as well. Yeah.
Yeah. He says I have Kraft and Goddard. If you have Kraft, I'd rather have Hunter Henry. I'm dropping him with no hesitation there.
I'm not even sure you need to roster both. I mean, I'd rather keep Hunt and Tracy on my team and drop Goddard and Henry.
Yeah, I honestly keep Hunt, drop Goddard for Tracy, and you'll be okay with Kraft and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I think that's great.
Sammy says, turned Godwin, Marvin Harrison into A.J. Brown Waddle a week before the injury. I still have Jay Jefferson, Terry, and London. Turned Godwin and Marvin into A.J. Brown and Waddle a week before the injury. Yeah, well, that's obviously really, really worked out for you.
Agreed. I love it.
That's really unfortunate for the guy who just paid up for Chris Godwin. Got to feel for that person, but congratulations to you, man. Sammy says AJ Brown, London, or Chase Collins rest of season. AJ Brown, London, or Chase Collins. I'm gonna go Chase Collins.
Chase Collins. Yeah, I agree. When Nico Collins is back, no Stephon Diggs. I think it's just gonna go back to what we saw in the second half of the season last year. For this Texans offense, which Nico's going to eat, Tank Dell's going to eat, at least in my opinion, and Jamar Chase is the number one guy there. So I'll agree there with you.
We're on the same page. I've seen Docto ask about the stash video a couple times. So just so you guys know, typically this time during the week, we've never had a stash video released this early anyway. That video's always come out tomorrow, your time. But the reason I'm switching up this week and I'm going to do a different video for you guys is because I really want to help you guys prep and win your league. So the video I'm planning on doing is a video where essentially I'm telling you players that are in the best position to win fantasy leagues, and it's basically a trade for video. So that video will come out tomorrow. Hopefully you guys love that. Haven't done a trade for video this entire year, but I think it's going to be important for you guys to see. Now, here's what I will do. I will go ahead and poll the entire chat right now. Would you guys prefer a bust video? And most people said bust earlier, but do you guys prefer a bust video this week, players who will bust, or a stash video?
Yeah,
all right,
one or
again,
the other there. So.
Stash or bust?
Oh,
Which
Lord,
video do you
bust.
prefer? I think most people are going to say bust. Oh, Lord, I'm about to bust. And quite frankly, the bust video is easier for me to make. I'm kind of drowning in content, so it might be that anyway. But I'm going to put a poll out there. Oh, my God, it's overwhelmingly bust. Okay. Oh, Lord, I'm about to bust.
I think, like, just thinking out loud, it just makes sense to do bust because we kind of been saying the waiver wires are kind of bare right now.
There's some good stashes, though.
They are.
Like,
there are some good stashes, but, like, there's probably 5 good stashes that might still be available on waiver wires.
Yeah.
In a 12-man league, in sharp leagues. Now, if you're in an 8-man or 10-man in a not too sharp of a league, then yes, there are going to be some greater or better options. But
yeah,
I think people have been leaning on the bus a little bit more because
it's interesting because the bus video doesn't perform as well as the stash video typically. So that is interesting to see, but clearly people like it. I wonder if I just posted too late. Anyway, okay, good to know. We'll do the bus video. All right, and Invisible Ad with a donation here says Najee for Jacoby and Javonte Williams. Can you make Javonte somebody else that's interesting? Like, do they have anyone else on their team outside of Javonte? Do they have a Tracy? Do they have a Chubb? Do they have a Dobbins? I don't know, man. Brian Robinson. I'm just not really in love with Javonte. Do they have Bucky or Rashad? I'd rather go that direction.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I'm there with you.
At the moment, with the way the new offense is functioning, man, like Najee looks good. He looks good.
I mean, the offensive line is starting to lock in. Obviously, I feel like more people are more concerned about Russell Wilson and his throwing ability than Justin Fields. Like, people's like, all right, we're just gonna stack the box, let him go one-on-one, let Justin make the throw.
Yeah,
that's what I see in the difference. And it's like, oh, actually, no, we got Russell Wilson here. We gotta make sure we got
great. I mean, I have to use so many words, and he looks fantastic. I can't even pretend he doesn't. Now, the guy who donated this said he has Bucky, but he's only going to do the deal for Javonte. Of course he is, because Javonte is... Nobody wants to ride that train. It's disgusting. I just don't like it. I don't want to do this. By the way, Denver's playoff schedule, I think we should start thinking about these things. Let me double check here. The Colts, which is good, but then the Chargers and Cincinnati. So it's kind of middle of the pack. It's not bad, but I mean, we literally just had a game versus the Panthers where every indication was that Javonte was going to go off, and he did.
Every indication.
So I'm going to keep Najee. I'm going to play hardball here. Say, hey, dude, I'm down to do the trade, but it needs to be Bucky instead of Jacoby. Or instead of Javonte is what I meant to say.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Daniel says JSN and a Dunze for Jaden Reed. Give me Jaden Reed.
Agreed.
Not in Dynasty, but in redraft. Crisscross Applesauce says, would you trade Devonta Smith for Brees? Oh, yeah, I'd take Brees Hall in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no questions.
I'd pay much more than Devonta Smith for Brees.
The wide receivers are J.J. Evans, Shakira, Pittman, McMillan, Douglas. I'm okay with that.
I would take Pittman or Brees in a heartbeat. It wouldn't even be close.
Yeah, and you can just flex one of those guys. But even then, like, you have Mason and Donald. I agree.
Brees, rest of season, like if we redid fantasy drafts and one quarterback leagues, he'd probably be a top 3 pick. Devonta Smith is probably a, what, 4th rounder?
Yeah, most likely.
It's just not close. All right, we do have a team review we need to do for Daniel. So let's do that team review, shall we?
Yeah, we'll have a look here, and I'll read this context. We appreciate you, man.
If you guys want your team reviewed, then check out the link in the chat. You can also get your question prioritized, but we do need to get Dan's team reviewed for him. So let's have a gee, shall we? Go ahead and read that context.
Yeah, he says, hey guys, Dynasty half PPR just traded for Lad. Would you trade a wide receiver depth for a top running back? Need more RB help. He says, or keep as is. Anything you recommend to upgrade team? Currently on waiver wires, Tillman, Quinton, Ford, Kendre, Vidal. Would you drop anyone on my current team for them long term or keep the same?
Well, first off, Tillman's got to be on every Dynasty team. So, yeah, he would be the number one. Like, if you're in a Dynasty league, I know this sounds crazy. I went ahead and did it in pretty much every Dynasty league where I had Fab. I spent everything on Tillman. This was a week ago. After that 19-point game, I blew all my Fab in Dynasty on Tillman. Because in a Dynasty league, typically your waivers are completely naked. There's just nothing interesting there. I mean, you're in a 10 team, so it might be a little more interesting, but in all of our Dynasty leagues, Badaki, where we are in 12-team leagues, I mean, it's tough to find those kind of names. I think I actually started... Yes, there's a league where I started him because in the Delta League, I started Tillman because I lost Shaheed, but spent the majority of my Fab on him, $95 out of 100.
Yeah.
If you're out there and Tillman's on your waiver wire in Dynasty leagues, ask yourself, look at all the players on your waiver wire in your Dynasty league and ask yourself, how many chances am I going to get to pick up a name like Tillman, a young player who's breaking out? And we have no idea if it's going to pan out still. But if you can pick up a name like that just to be in the race, you got to buy the scratcher to win the lotto, you know? So that's how I view it. He's got to be rostered.
This is a 1 quarterback, 10 team start 8 in this half PPR. So you have Kyler Murray, JJ McCarthy, and Dak Prescott. So I think that's okay. By the way, you are first in the standings
by
in the
a
expert consensus
significant
ranking.
Margin.
Yeah, and this is huge. So let's see why that is the case. You are 4-4 currently. You have Devon, David Montgomery, Jonathan Brooks, Trey Benson, Jordan Mason. This is a phenomenal RB room, a good one for the future. Obviously, Devon, Monty with Brooks and Benson there. You probably went back to back on those picks this past draft. At wide receiver, you have CeeDee, Malik, Puka, Jaden Reed, Olave, McConkey. I mean, my goodness, this is a phenomenal team, all very young, all high upside type players as well. That's exactly what you want to see. And you just traded for Lamb McConkey. Obviously, you have these older vets in Calvin Ridley. And I guess you could throw Jacoby Myers into that range as well, and Jalen Polk as a rookie with Trey McBride as a tight end. And you have all your picks in 25, it looks like. So this is great. And I think this is...
So if you think about it, if it's a 1 quarterback start 8 league, you can start up to 4 receivers because you have 2 flex spots. And when you think about it, your starting lineup right now is probably Kyler Murray, H.N. Monty, CeeDee, Neighbors. Your flex is full of Puka and Reed, or Puka Olave, or Puka Lad, depending on matchup. And then, of course, you're starting Trey McBride. Man, like... This is about as good as a Dynasty team gets, quite frankly. I feel like, yeah, I mean, there's a reason you're Thanos. There's a reason you're well above anyone else in the team rankings, the league analyzer. What does DFan24's team look like? This poor guy. Oh my God. What did you guys do to this roster? How did you guys massacre this boy?
He still has his first, so maybe he just is a shit drafter.
Blake Corum, Jalen Wright is his running backs that are most valuable. He lost Ayuk. Wow, poor guy. But so you have your 25 first still. You also have a 26 first. My piece of advice here is why the would we not go all in? I mean, I have a team that I wouldn't say is similar, but I'm in a position where I feel like I can definitely win a championship. And I dealt with a ton of injuries. I just lost Stephon Diggs for the year. This is in the Foxtrot Dynasty League with our followers.
Yep.
I lost Stephon Diggs for the year. I lost Rashee Rice for the year. I lost Isaiah Pacheco. All right, and we're still 6-2. And we went ahead this morning and made a kind of broke money don't make none type of deal, which I'll show you here. We went ahead and we acquired Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill, sent away Pacheco and Rashee Rice. So a guy who is not trying to win right now, he's trying to rebuild, sent his most, notable names right now in a contending roster over to me. I think you need to make a move that's similar to that, not in the sense of like you have to give up some of these names, but I would use your first round pick in this scenario because this team is very, very good. There's no reason to be worried about who is the 10th best player in the 2025 class at this point. You want to win it all ultimately. Like if you come third, it doesn't matter. If you come first, you win your pot and you're a champion. So I very rarely tell people to use their first round picks in trades, but in your scenario, I am going to tell you to do that. I would package your first round pick with a David Montgomery. I'd package your first round pick with a Jonathan Brooks. I'd package your first round pick with a Trey Benson. I'd package it with a Ladd McConkey to go out and get an RB2. What I really want to focus on is improving that RB2 position. So we want to get one of these superstars, right? We want to try and get a Breece Hall. This guy's 7-1. Let's find a team that's struggling right now. Yeah, almost everyone is 4-4. Holy crap.
Yeah.
All right.
It's all
Herbert,
pretty even here.
Let's go to the 1-7 team. They have nobody. Wow. It's going to be tough for you to make a deal now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, I'd go send your first round pick for Christian McCaffrey in this league. I'd go do that. Christian McCaffrey just signed a deal in the offseason. You don't need that first round pick. If you add CMC into this lineup, who's going to stop me? Nobody. I'd do that deal. I would go send your first and Monty to try and get a Jonathan Taylor. I think you get like a Taylor plus like a second back in that deal, actually. I'd go send your first and Monty and try and go get Jahmyr Gibbs. Just say, you know what? We're staying in the same backfield, but we're getting younger. I'd send your first and Monty, try and go get a Bijan if that's possible. Probably not, but I would still try it. Same thing for Breece Hall. I think that's really the only area that you can improve.
Yeah, it's the RB one. The RB rooms. I think your wide receiver rooms are phenomenal. And that's kind of where it's been carrying you right now. Puka's coming back as well. Obviously, Chris Olave just came back, had a great game. But specifically in the Dynasty League, I think your future is set. I would continue to ride this out. Yeah, you can go all in and do that, or you can just play the cards. One thing I would personally be doing is seeing, getting CMC, because you already have Jordan Mason. So you probably picked him up off of waiver wires this year, or you already had him rostered. But I think this is great. You also have Alexander Madison. Maybe you can go out and get a value for him. But other than that, I think this is great. You have one of the best tight ends. Yeah, you have one of the best tight ends in the league as well, Trey McBride.
Let's cover untouchables. Achane, Lamb, Neighbors, Puka, McBride. I wouldn't throw Reed and Olave in there just yet because your team is so stacked. It's only a start 8. I do think I would use Reed if it meant I could get another top 3 running back in Dynasty. Like if I package Reed and Benson and it means I get a top 3 guy, or Reed and Brooks, I would still do that. So I couldn't call him an untouchable, but I do love him still.
Yeah.
I think
I'm okay with that.
Where I'm living right now.
Yeah, I think this is a great team, man. I think you can continue to do what you do. I wonder what that trade is that you did for Ladd McConkey. Let's see. So yeah, you're gonna pick up Tillman if that's available. If you have to drop somebody, or if you do have the roster spot, I mean, the first person I'll be dropping would most likely be Alexander Madison. I would try and sell him before you do drop him. Can you get a third? Can you get a fourth? I mean, look, he really means nothing. But if you're giving him to a team that might need another running back, you might be able to get good, get something out of it. But most likely nothing.
He traded away Otton and Hubbard for Ladd, by the way, which I love. That's a great,
Yeah,
great
that's
move.
great. Yeah. But yes, I think other than that, I think this is great. So pick up Cedric Tillman. I would drop Alexander Madison. I'm not picking up anyone else. Obviously, I would say pick up Quinton, but you have Ladd already, and I think he's the future of that offense regardless.
Yeah.
I
Ideally, just quickly, you package Madison with a Reed, and you go get a Brian Thomas. Just as an example. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, ideally, you use him in a package, but definitely want to roster Tillman. Not even sure he would ever see your starting lineup because what the hell. But yeah, I think those are the main areas you can improve, my friend.
Yeah,
you should feel very good. We didn't give this guy a grade from an A to an F, so
this is
A plus.
Yeah, this is an A team, no question.
Yeah.
Great quarterback for the future with JJ. Great running back depth, especially young. Great wide receiver and Trey McBride. So I think this is great.
Yeah, you should feel very good about that team, my friend. Hopefully that is helpful. Couple moves that you can make to improve yourself. My direction with your team is broke money don't make none. Let's try and go win the whole damn thing. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
All right, we do have a couple super chats. We'll probably end the stream here soon. If you guys want your team reviewed, whether it's Dynasty or Redraft, you can definitely check out the pinned comment in the chat. I'll put another little comment there or another little chat there for you guys with the link. But we do have some super chats, and then we'll probably call it a day. And we'll do some regular questions as well. I think we'll do 5 for just for fun. But I think the last super chat is from Iris. Should I drop Zay Flowers for Downs? Trade Chuba for Lamb? Well, first off, if you can get CeeDee Lamb for Chuba Hubbard, in a heartbeat, my friend, you take the CeeDee Lamb side of that deal in every format.
No question. I want that right now.
I would pay Chuba and Zay and Downs to go get CeeDee Lamb. So if that's somehow possible, that's insane. But would you drop Zay for Downs? I'm not sure I would drop Zay, but I definitely want to roster Josh Downs. I'd start Downs over Zay this week.
Yeah, I would say if this is the same team and you have Chuba, I would drop Chuba for Downs. Once again, still want to roster him.
Not if you can trade Chuba for CeeDee Lamb.
That's also very true. But I would rather have Downs and I would rather have Lamb on my team. But if surely there's somebody else you can drop. Shit, Wando Robinson. If there's Jacoby Myers, I'd rather drop him. If there is, I'm trying to think of just random names. But yes, I would 1,000% be dropping, or trying to pick up Josh Downs.
All right. Let's answer 5 questions at random. No donations, no nothing. Just to say thanks for being here. We try to do this at the end of every stream. We can't always guarantee it just because time is sometimes an issue. I want to answer Kevin's question because he's got the OKC Thunder logo, and that's my favorite NBA team, baby. Let's go. It's our year, baby. 2025 is our year. Deepest team in the entire NBA. It's ridiculous the embarrassment of riches we have. Every year. We haven't said that since we had KD, Russ, and James Harden.
And you were saying it every year then. Get over it. Next.
We weren't. This guy's just crying because he's a New York fan.
I don't even know basketball.
D-Hop for Bucky. 14-team PPR. I have A.J. Brown, Waddle, Wilson, JSN.
Yeah, I want
D-Hop.
I want Bucky.
I do think D-Hop's going to be much better, by the way. I think he's going to be better and better and better. But right now, it looks like the offense is funneling through the running backs. In a 14-team league, I imagine it's tough to find a running back, so I will go Bucky there.
Yeah, Bucky clearly has a role in this offense, and that's not going away.
No. All right, that's 1 out of 5.
1 out of 5. Here we go.
2 out of 5 is from I've never seen Serum on. I'm probably saying your name wrong on the stream. So he says, "Can I start Flacco over Aaron Rodgers?" Yeah, I love Flacco this week. In fact, I haven't even thought about that until you asked that question. I want to look at what my rankings would actually be. So thinking about Flacco this week versus the Vikings, You got to throw on them. You can't run very well. But, of course, they have Johnny Taylor. They're going to do their thing. I mean, I'd probably start Flacco over Rodgers for sure. I might start Flacco over CJ versus the Jets. I might start him over Baker versus the Chiefs. I think I'd land around quarterback 16. Right behind Stafford. Quarterback 15, actually. Right behind Stafford and Goff is where I'd land.
I would start behind Stafford and Goff, yeah. Okay, perfect.
That's question 2 out of 5 at random. All right, question 3 out of 5 at random. I'm trying to find people we don't always see to show some love.
Show some love.
Trying to spread my seed for you guys. Jonah S says wanting to start Wilson over London this week, considering Jets' position, but don't know coming from a New York fan. I'd still start London over Garrett Wilson personally. Love that matchup versus the Cowboys.
Yeah, I would say both of those guys need to be rostered. Personally, I mean, it needs to be started. Excuse me. I would start Garrett Wilson this week, but I also will start
over
London. No, I'm not over London.
Okay.
But I think Wilson should be started. So start Wilson in your wide receiver position and then put London in your flex.
All right. That's question 3 out of 5, right? Question 4 out of 5 goes to Ryan Stevens. I haven't heard from a Ryan Stevens before, I don't think. Would you trade Amari Cooper and Kyle Pitts for George Kittle? No, I wouldn't. Kyle Pitts is really coming on here. Actually, with no Ayuk rest of season, in a smaller format, I would. In an 8-team, 10-team league, I would.
Sure.
But anything 12-team, I wouldn't. That's how I wouldn't.
I would agree. Smaller leagues, Kittle. Bigger leagues, you want the package.
All right, and the last melon. You watch Ice Age growing up?
No, I didn't watch that shit. No, I'm joking.
I'm embarrassed to know you if that's the case. You didn't watch Ice Age growing up?
Nah, man, I wasn't privileged to have a TV like you when I was growing up.
Oh, shut up! You had a TV. Don't cry me a river here. We're done with it. Okay, we're done with it. You had a TV. All right, last question. Last question here. Let's go. I'm sorry, guys. We can't answer everybody, but let's go Dwight. Kareem Hunt or DeAndre Swift. This week I'm gonna go Swift. Rest of season Swift. Also Kelsey or Bowers. This week I'll go Bowers and Bowers rest of season.
You said Swift. Did you say Swift rest of season?
Swift rest of season and this week. Bowers rest of season and this week.
Yeah, I agree. I thought you would say Kareem Hunt rest of season.
No, because we've been talking about Pacheco. It's confusing. Last thing I'll say, guys, is if we'll be live tomorrow. If you want to get your question at the top of the queue as soon as we start tomorrow, then definitely check out our website. I'll put a link in the chat for you. You can ask us a question at any time over there, and you'll get a time code to exactly when we've answered it. And then also, if you don't have a free account yet, go get a free account with the promo code LAND. Again, when you sign up, use a code LAND, flockfantasy.com/LAND, LAND. And when you do, you'll get some of the tools for free on the website. For example, the My Team Analyzer. All right. Now, not a free team review. Come on, don't be ridiculous. But you can enter, if you're with a Sleeper, ESPN, or Yahoo League, you can enter your league and see where you rank amongst the rest of your league mates. And then you've also got the expert consensus rankings for free, the trade calculator for free. And then when you link up your team, it makes it so easy on stream to go ahead and ask a question. But we appreciate y'all. Go check out the videos that are on the channel already. All right, remember, we've got the start-sit videos out for both the running backs and wide receivers. The waiver wire video is up from 2 days ago. And really, I think it's an important week for waiver wires, but it's an important week just not to mess it up. And then also, last thing I'll say here is we're getting close to Dynasty season. All right, Dynasty is about to take over. All right. If you don't know, we have a Dynasty channel, Dynastyland Football. So go subscribe over there. That is going to take up the majority of our time during the offseason. And if you love fantasy, if you love Dynasty, it's the place to be. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you soon. All love, guys.
Love.